It's time for the Hockey Writers Grindline, a weekly show covering everything Detroit Red Wings. Brought to you by our own iconic top line of Wings writers. Sit back and enjoy The Grind.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Grind Line here at the Hockey Writers. I'm your host, Matthew Zator, and as always, I'm joined by my line mates, Evan Sabourin and Devin Little. Guys, how's it going? We got another week of Red Wings games in the books at a okay week. The Oilers keep winning, so I mean, I guess that's not a they are I think I may be looking at the wrong things, but they are going to be playing the Oilers. They did lose the Oilers a long time ago, not this past week. So look at the wrong game, but they are going to be playing the Oilers upcoming. Maybe they'll be the one to break the. I hope it's not that long. February 13th. I hope it's not that long that they still have their winning streak going on. But how's it going, Devin?
Going good, man. Like we were kind of saying off air before we started recording, Lions fever is very much a thing here in Michigan. So if you're tuning in to watch our show today, we thank you very much. We know that this isn't necessarily the team that's on everyone's mind right now, but happy to be here. Always excited to talk Red Wings. And for what it's worth, like you said, yeah, they've been playing well. They've been holding up their end of the bargain when it comes to Detroit sports.
Yeah, they did lose to the Lightning. We previewed a bit that game. Unfortunately, they went to the Lightning. Man, I'm off today this morning. This evening. 2-1. They won against the Lightning. So that's a good thing. They did lose to the Stars and won against the Flyers. So yeah, a pretty good week. Evan, how's it going?
Good, man. What a time to be alive for Detroit sports fans, though I don't live anywhere close to Detroit. But yeah, I'm excited. This weekend I'm gonna head up to the Bay Area for the game, and it's go Lions. As you can see my background, I apologize, I couldn't crop out the Pistons logo in time because that's just not a good topic for Detroit fans. But no, things are good, and it's going to be an exciting weekend. You know, it's hard to focus on the Red Wings right now in Detroit with the Lions because it's been such a miserable 60, 70 years for Lions fans. So it's an exciting time in Detroit, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, they're playing the Golden Knights as well the day you'll be watching this. So that's another tough team. That's going to be a tough test as well. So let's get going with the show, and hopefully I don't stumble through this episode like I've stumbled through the intro. Devin, I'll start with you. A good and a bad from this past week.
I have faith in you, Matt. I think you can. You're going to pull through. My one good. We'll start with the good here. Alex Lyon pitching a shutout last night. 2 nights ago against the Philadelphia Flyers. That's his second shutout of the season, and that's the third shutout of his career. So 2/3 of his shutouts has been in a Red Wings sweater. Good to see. He continues to do what he's done pretty much since the Red Wings decided to finally put him in net. So good to see him being a real source of stability for the Red Wings. Heading into the new year and beyond now, we're getting close to February. My one bad has got to be, really the only real source of bad from the week is just the loss to the Stars.
Mm-hmm.
Really bad second period. They were up 2-1 heading into the second period, fell behind 5-2, I believe. Yep. And then they kind of just did their best in the third period to make a game out of it. And they did, but well, that just kind of goes to show that against, the better teams in the NHL, all it takes is one bad period and you're behind the 8 ball and you might not be able to get back into it. Maybe reality check for the Red Wings there against Dallas. Make sure they didn't get too high on their laurels or start to rest on their laurels for the success they've had this month. But you still don't like to see them lose. It was really nice to see Alex Lyon continue to get rewarded for his stellar play this month.
Yeah, Lyon's we've talked about him, how good he's been. And it's funny, the Detroit Lions are going to be playing, and he's playing really well as well. We mentioned that already. All right, Evan, a good and a bad from this past week.
Well, I'll second that with Alex Lyon, and it was good to see the Red Wings respond after that loss in Dallas. Alex Lyon, I mean, we keep saying it and we keep saying it. It's, this is our guy. It looks like, this is the guy they're going to ride down the stretch, barring any trades, which I'm not seeing. I can't envision that yet right now. But it was also good to watch last night with the Red Wings up 3-0, and you could feel the electricity in LCA even from watching on the TV, and the whole crowd chanting Jared Goff's name. So, like I said earlier, it's a fun time, exciting. The roller coaster continues, but I feel like it's a much more enjoyable roller coaster. It's not one of those, demon drops like they have at Cedar Point where your stomach goes right through your mouth. So it's been a good week. I feel hockey wise. I think we've talked a lot about it's going to take this team some time to gel, and it looks like maybe they're starting to gel a little bit better. We're seeing better performances on the defensive end, and I'm telling you right now, and I said it last week too about Rasmussen. I really like this third line. This Rasmussen Copp Fischer line is really it's really been impressing me. And I've said probably the past 2 weeks, which is a good thing. That means it's still happening. Is that Rasmussen's play, that play he made on the Copp goal last night was just fantastic. And I love seeing him progress because he could be an X factor down the stretch too, as long as he stays healthy. But yeah, I mean, my bad this week, I didn't really feel any bad. The Dallas loss was bad. I mean, if you want to talk bad, the whole Canada sexual assault thing was just absolutely horrific, and it just blows my mind that there's 5 kids in the NHL, and this happened years ago, that have been living with this for the past 5 years, and that's something that really bothers me. And I hope these kids, they got to pay for what they did. So that was an ugly thing, and I don't even want to talk about it anymore. So let's keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a bad there's a lot to take in there. That's definitely a black mark on hockey. But
That's the biggest bad thing that there can be when it comes to hockey right now.
For sure.
Sorry
right,
for the bus bill, guys. Let's lighten it up here.
Let's keep talking Red Wings. And there's a good segue, Evan. You went right from our third line here. It's our next topic. We're going to talk about that third line. Rasmussen, Copp, and Fischer, which Fischer was a free agent signing this past offseason. Copp was one the previous offseason. And Rasmussen, of course, drafted by the Red Wings. So they've formed a pretty good line, very effective. I'll start with you. I'll go to you, Evan. I expand on those thoughts. What do you like about that line? What is the secret to their success since they've been put together?
Well, I mean, they're playing well together. There you go. They're gelling together, and if they can be a solid formidable line and give us those kind of minutes and toughness down low, I mean, that's something that can only benefit us down the stretch. I mean, last night was great. Copp getting his 100th goal, and you saw him in the intermission when Trevor Thompson said, what does that 100th goal mean to you? And he just looked at him. He says, "Doesn't mean shit." And that's the kind of attitude I want right now from these players. That it's not about that stuff. It's about getting wins and playing good, responsible defensive hockey. If I asked both of you guys this question and I said, how would we feel about Andrew Copp? Because as we know, he's taken a lot of heat in the media, Red Wings fans. He's kind of been the scapegoat a little bit this year. But if he wasn't signed to this long-term deal at his salary, at that price, would we be on him that much? That's a question I keep asking myself because, he is getting paid a decent amount. And it's one of the first big contracts that Steve Yzerman has given out. So, maybe he's turning a corner. He's never going to be. He's a 45 to 50 point player on a great season for him. He's not somebody we're going to rely on points. I think we need him more in a defensive shutdown role, and that scrappy type player. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's looking great with him and Fischer and Rasmussen. So I think they're playing well together. I really hope that Newsy doesn't just keep juggling these lines, and let's stick that line together because it's been. We've had a pretty decent sample size, and I like what I'm seeing out of them. So that can be a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, looking towards the playoff push and potentially the playoffs, they could be a really effective line in games. Like, we all know the value of those types of lines in the playoffs. The Tampa Bay Lightning had one. The Red Wings had one way back when with Chris Draper. and well, the grind line, as our show is called. These are our lines that you need in the playoffs, and they make a big difference, and they could potentially be one of those types. And to answer a question with Copp, I think that is true, because I always look back with Louis Eriksson in Vancouver. If he was getting paid $2 million and what he was doing, totally fine. He was good defensively. He was a good two-way guy. He wasn't scoring 30 goals. Wasn't worth $6 million. I don't think. And same thing with Copp. If he wasn't being paid a ton, probably be fine with everything. Wouldn't be criticizing everything he does, right? So
100%.
All right, Devin, over to you. What do you think about this trio so far since they've been put together here?
I think that they've been the Red Wings' most consistent line since they've been put together. We've talked about how the top six has kind of felt Kane's absence at times. We've talked about, DeBrincat not scoring the way we maybe thought he would score. Just over the last couple of weeks, right? We've talked about different players that are playing in key roles that you expect to play well, and whatever. And then there's this line that features, two guys that are known more for physicality than points, and then Andrew Copp, who, as we kind of mentioned just then, hasn't been known for his point totals this season and last season, but has some history with putting up points. But they're a defensive shutdown line, right? They're the modern day grind line, basically. They're this season's grind line. That would be the best way to put that.
Yeah.
Like I said, consistency. That's really the best thing, because it seems like even if they're not getting points, they're sustaining pressure. They're wreaking havoc in the offensive zone. They're giving the opposition fifths in their own zone and whatnot. And that's what you want from an energy line. Of course, you'd love points, you love goals. That's how you win games. But if nothing else, you want a line that just kind of gives you a spark whenever you need one. And that's what this line's done for the Red Wings. And for what it's worth, I think Copp's been a very big beneficiary of this line being formed. But I also think Rasmussen's been a big beneficiary. And like you said, Evan, you've highlighted him, and for good reason. He's really kind of come to life in this line, this trio. I think that just this role for the three of them really fits their skill sets and who they are as players. When you're utilizing them against lesser competition, because the Red Wings have mostly just kind of stuck to our best against your best and our least best against your least best. That trio can really use their size and their physicality and their compete levels to outwork the opposition. And like I said, they're usually going against lesser competition, so it's really worked out well for them. All in all, just to kind of go right back to where I started here, consistency. You can't ask for anything better from a bottom six line than consistency, and that's what this line's given the Red Wings. And I think they're a big reason why January has gone so well for the Red Wings.
100%. And like Evan, you said about gelling and this team gelling, and that's what started to happen. There's two new guys. They're figuring it out, and Copp, I think, was still figuring it out from last season into this one. What his role on the team is. Like, we were talking about second line center. We were talking about being in the third line. We were projecting lineups. We weren't sure where he was going to fit in. Looks like he's fitting with these two guys, and that's good. Which is going to lead me into my off the rush question, because two of them are, one's a UFA and one's an RFA. Rasmussen being the restricted free agent and Fischer being the unrestricted. Devin, what do you think about how much more, if Rasmussen continues on his trajectory here, he's really good, 1.46 million right now. How much of a raise do you think he'll get in restricted free agency or his next contract here?
Like you kind of said there, we'll see how he finishes, right? That's going to be a key thing here. Right now, I think I'd look at something like 3x3, 4x3, something like that. 3-year deal, 4-year deal, for like 3 million, maybe 3.5 if things go really well for him. Because he's gonna make more than what he's making right now, but I don't see him, breaking the bank by any means. He's 1.6, double it, right?
Yeah.
I think that would be a solid raise for him, and I think that would reflect his his standing and his role on the team. You don't want to overpay for a bottom sixer.
Yeah, for sure. And Evan, do you agree with that? And also about Christian Fischer, do you think he'll get more than the 1.125, or you think he'll, will he return to the Red Wings? Maybe that's the good first question, because he's an
Well, first and foremost, I want to double off what Devin said. One of the things that have been trending in the NHL the past couple of years are these long-term, low-average contracts. So sign Rasmussen to one of those 7-year, $2 million contracts. I forget who the player is. That there's a couple guys that have those long-term deals that they're really short. And I mean, he's that type of player. He's a glue type player. He's not. And I think he realizes his role, and if he can keep this up down the stretch, then yeah, I mean, I think he's in the team's plans. Let's say that for first and foremost. As far as Fischer, Fischer was good friends with Larkin, and he played with him on the U.S. national development team, and he plays with a little edge, and that's something that this team kind of needs. He's not afraid to drop the gloves and get dirty in there, and he's the kind. I like his play. He's not going to score you any goals or whatever, but he's got that gritty edge work, and that's why he's part of this grind line that's succeeding right now. I think he's going to be somebody they could bring back maybe on a 2-year short-term deal to see how it goes, because we do have prospects waiting to come up from Grand Rapids that are soon going to be ready to take spots.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he'll be around, and I think he'll be around for maybe another year or two.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's definitely said, we weren't even sure he was going to be in the lineup. Again, those projections. We had Fischer. I don't think I had him on the fourth line. I think you, Devin, you had him on the fourth line. But I'm pretty sure I had him out of the lineup because I wanted Soderblom out here.
The one thing we didn't address either too is this is put Daniel Sprong down on the fourth line, and I'm sure you guys will agree with me on this one that we've been really impressed with his play.
Yeah.
He played the only person that played less minutes last night was Costin, and he got that huge major last night, but he only played 11 minutes 50 seconds last night for Sprong. And I really like what Sprong brings to this team. So it's good to have these options up and down the lineup, but I'd like to see Sprong get some more minutes, because when he's in there, he's like a bulldog, and he's ripping the puck. He's not afraid to shoot, which in the past couple of weeks we've seen has been an issue with this team at times when they try to get too fancy on the power play.
Yeah.
But Sprong likes to rip it, man, and he doesn't care from where. So I want to see him get more minutes in the future here somehow.
Yeah. He's doing pretty much what he did in Seattle.
Right.
On fourth line, and he scored 20 goals. And how many does he have right now? He's scoring. So that's something that's just give me a sec. I'll figure it out here. He's got 12 goals. Like, he's on pace for another 20 and not playing a lot of minutes. This is a sweet spot. Maybe you don't want to give him more minutes.
Which also becomes a problem now too once Kane comes back. So there's going to be a lot of lineup difficulties here to put together.
Absolutely.
There's players that are going to need minutes, and they're going to have to figure it out. But hey, it's a good problem to have when we have this problem. Back in the day, a couple of years ago, that was not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, Sprong had 21 goals last season, and pretty much on pace for the same. Could even score more. Who knows? If he keeps on this. So yeah, he's been really good as well this season. All right. Well, before we move on to our second half of the show, we got to pay the bills and talk about our Substack here at the Hockey Writers. It's a great newsletter you can get in your inbox 3 times a week. We also have a premium tier that gives you special articles, prospect updates, game day previews, lots of fun stuff there. You also get access to all the other teams in the NHL, all their paid content as well. You basically get everything. It's great. Prospects, NHL history, lots of fun stuff over there. So take a look at the link below. We've got a discount offer going on right now just before All-Star game. So 24% off an annual subscription. So that's some fun stuff. If you haven't checked that out yet, take a look in the link below there. Okay, well, let's move on. I know we talked about Andrew Copp. I don't know if we want to talk about him more or we want to move on to a different topic. Devin, talk about Andrew Copp a bit. We talk about his contract. It's pretty high. His production level is not really matching what he's getting paid. Are you concerned about that? I mean, he is on a pretty long-term deal. We talk about him being really good on that line, but what if that line doesn't come back? Like, well, Fischer may not come back. Rasmussen most likely will. 5.625 million. No trade clause or modified no trade. Are you concerned with his production, or are you okay with what he's doing right now at, his contract and stuff like that?
I really liked what Evan said, a little, or the point Evan raised a little bit ago about how much the contract kind of shapes how we look at
Yeah.
Andrew Copp. Um, fairly and unfairly, I would say. I think that we kind of need to take a step back and look at the whole picture here. I understand why people would be very disappointed, right? If you're paying somebody north of $5 million and they're under half a point per game, that's not ideal, right? Like you said, Matt, you think of like Louis Erickson, where it's like, it's not like the player's bad, it's that they're being overcompensated. And that's in a salary cap league, that's not how you do business, or at least that's not how you do good business. But Andrew Copp has never been like a real point getter, right? His career max is 53. That's not like, don't get me wrong, that's not bad, but that's not, and I would never look at a player with a high total of 53 and be like, oh, that's a real top tier offensive player. No, that's a player that can put up points, but probably does a lot of other things that makes them valuable. And boy, does Andrew Copp do other things. Um, and also, for what it's worth, he's just under half a point per game, and he doesn't really play on the power play. So most of his points are even strength. So he's playing in a defensive role, and he's still putting up points. Honestly, when you think about it that way, he's actually a pretty darn good offensive player because he's not playing in an offensive role, but he's still putting up a point every other game. But my point here is that if you're looking at him as a player, like if you want points out of Andrew Copp, I don't know if you had your expectations right to begin with, because he was never like a big point getter. And his big point season was actually like his contract year, so there might have been some motivation going on there, right? Um, so you sign Andrew Copp to be a two-way matchup, shut down, can put up points and help out there. Leadership guy. He wears an A just about every night he plays. The and from that standpoint, I think he's doing just fine. I think he's given the Red Wings exactly what they expected. I'm going to finish out too with the quote he gave Trevor Thompson. You score your 100th goal. What does it mean? It doesn't mean shit. I think that really kind of exemplifies why he wears a letter. Because it's not about his personal achievement there. It's about the fact that it's a team sport. Even though the Red Wings were up 3-0 at that time, they still weren't playing well. They were being outshot by the Flyers, and that's what was important to him. Team wasn't playing well. It was like, if we continue to play the way we were, the Flyers could catch up, and then no one's talking about my 100th goal. That's the type of player that you're not wearing a letter. That's the type of player you want in the locker room, and you want in the locker room when you start bringing in young kids. You want that kind of mentality and just approach to the game around young kids that are, learning how to be pros and whatnot. And for what it's worth, he's actually a pretty good face-off guy. He wins about 53% of his face-offs. So, I don't know. He does a lot of things that don't show up on the score sheet. And I think that if you're kind of just looking at his stat line and saying, is this player good or is he bad? And you only look at his stat line, you probably reach a conclusion that he's not very good. But if you watch the games and you kind of listen to him talk and you kind of take the whole picture into account, I think Andrew Copp's actually a very, very underrated player actually on this team, just because of how much hate he gets versus what he actually does for the team.
Yeah, the thing is there's those intangibles, and you're paying for that too. I mean, yes, a lot of the money comes from production and stuff, but you look at those intangible things that these guys bring, and you have to take that into account. And he is one of those guys. So you mentioned a ton of those intangibles that going to make a difference in the playoffs. It's going to make a difference in big games. And you can already see that he's probably going to be one of those guys that's going to make a difference there. So, yeah, I've been a fan of Andrew Copp. In Winnipeg, he was very underrated there as well. So I don't doubt he just keeps doing it in Detroit here. So paid a little more, little much, but doing a lot even for, you know, yeah, it's just, it is what
Yeah.
it is. All right, Evan, you have anything else to add about Andrew Copp or?
Hold on, let me add my crow here because I've been bashing on this guy. I've been bashing on this guy all season on his, and hopefully no one records these things so people can check notes on us because they come back and I'm gonna sound like an idiot. But no, I mean again, the comment he made to Trevor Thompson last night kind of endeared me. I was watching on my phone again, driving my car, which don't do anymore, people. But Copp, you mentioned his contract year, Devin. Even in his contract year, which was his best point season at 53 points. He put up 21 goals, and that was the max. Before that, he's scoring 10, 11, 9, 9. I mean, he's not a point producer. He's not a point producer. But he can be an effective third line center, and I think he was probably just misplaced at the start of this. And again, the contract is also, something that people want to harp on. But at the same time, too, Copp, it's you see these missed breakaways or you see these missed flubs or he flakes on a shot. That's what people are seeing. When you're watching a Red Wings game, unless you're there live, you're not seeing the other intangibles around there. And of course, I'm 100% guilty of that as myself. That's why Henrik the Crow's here. So, yeah, I mean, is he worth third line center money? I mean, that's also the question. But again, if there was a shorter term and less salary, we're pretty happy with a third line center at that price. So, I obviously he's Michigan connection with the guys. So there is some stuff there that I like with these guys. They're gelling probably in the locker rooms, and I'm sure they're all boys since they're all Michigan fans. They just won the national title. I'm sure they went out and all partied and stuff. But yeah, he's coming around to me, and it's been these last couple of games, and like I said, that the fact that you're going to go out there and get, Bally Sports in trouble with the FCC by saying, I don't give a shit. Because obviously he doesn't give a shit. So, yeah, I'm coming around on him, and I hope this progresses.
Yeah, like I said, he's been a favorite of mine for a while. So I believe I wanted him on the Canucks at one point. But again, too much money when looking at it. But
well, hey, he had a great year to have his contract year.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Picked a great season.
Just like Louis Eriksson.
And we don't talk about either too, is that he's had injury problems. He's had back problems. So then he had what was his surgery when he came over? Was it back surgery or hernia?
Something like that.
I know he did. Copp did, so
yeah. What was that? Abdominal surgery.
Abdominal? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so his core surgery, he missed like the whole summer too, right before he came over here too. So I don't know, man.
We'll see. We'll see what he does over the last bunch of years of his contract. He's got 3 more years after this season. So yeah, hopefully continues what he's doing, and maybe he'll score some more. We'll see. Okay, let's move on to another highly paid player, Alex DeBrincat. He's the All-Star representative for the Red Wings this season, and well-deserved. He's their leading scorer for goals. Devin, was he the right pick for the All-Star game, or do you have someone else that you think should be going?
It's a fun thing to talk about because there's like a I'll go with the fun answer, and then there's like what you really want to happen answer. My what you really want to answer response is going to be nobody. I would want nobody to go to the All-Star game because what's the point? And also like let the guys have the week off, right? I'd rather the players take their time to rest up and heal and spend time with their families and whatnot. Not to say that the All-Star game is exactly taxing or anything like that, but just it's a good opportunity to hit the reset button. It's a long season, right? I'm sure Larkin, who's been the Red Wings representative the last 2 or 3 seasons, is happy that he has time to just spend with his new wife and not have to worry about hockey for a week, right? So personally, I don't even want DeBrincat going. Like it'll be fun for him, and he's a deserving All-Star for sure. But like, just take the week off, kid. Now let's go with the fun and let's actually send somebody. Again, DeBrincat's a great candidate and he's certainly deserving of it. But I would honestly send Alex Lyon. Not just because goaltenders don't get a lot of love in the All-Star game. It's actually like it's like I can't think of the right phrase I want to use here, but it's a losing battle for the goaltenders. I always feel bad for them when they go to the All-Star because it's not about them. It's really not. Um, but Alex Lyon has, like I said in the top of the show, since he started playing games for the Red Wings, he's been lights out. He's been a real source of stability for the Red Wings. He's probably the biggest reason why the Red Wings are still very much a factor in the playoff conversation in the East. Without Lyon, who knows where this team's at right now. And then also he's just like a fun personality. If you watch any videos that the team's been putting out of him off the ice, he's a real character. And he's also he's a good dude. There's a video of him going around just the other day of him uh, teaching kids at a hospital how to play hockey and reading stories to them and whatnot. Love to see guys getting into the community and making an impact on the youth in the city of Detroit. And Lyon has certainly embraced that role. And he's the type of person that, let's face it, he's not the typical all-star. But he's playing at an all-star level right now. So you kind of want him to like cash in on the opportunity while he can, right? So I like DeBrincat could very well be back in the All-Star game next year, and he's that kind of talent. He's an All-Star level talent. Whereas Lyon, I don't know. He just doesn't have that same pedigree. So I would send Lyon. I'd give DeBrincat the week off and let Lyon have fun and get scored on 10 million times because that whole event's just how many teams can or how many goals can you score in a 10-minute period?
Yeah. Correction, Dylan Larkin is the leading scorer of the Red Wings right now. I thought, well, DeBrincat slowed down a bit. So
you would have thought, right?
Larkin's got 20 goals. DeBrincat's got 18. So that's a correction on my part. I thought DeBrincat was still leading in goals. He's not. Evan, who would you send to the All-Star game? Is DeBrincat your guy, or would you have someone else?
Well, first and foremost, the All-Star format needs to change. These rosters are ridiculous how everyone has to have one player. And you really got to vote in guys like Leon Draisaitl and William Nylander and Mitch Marner for Oliver Bjorkstrand and guys like Tom Wilson. Come on, dude. Let's beat that. No one likes that idea. But if I had to send somebody in, yeah, Devin makes a good point. If Alex Lyon, maybe if he'd started the rest of the season, or if Newsy would subscribe to our show, he would have known to have started him Alex Lyon earlier in the season, and I think there is a case for him to would have made a case to be an all-star. He's been lights out. He's been great. Everything. He's more than any of the Red Wings in the organization expected him to be. But it would probably have to go with Larkin with me. The injury forced them to miss some games, and scary injury, and you could tell coming back he wasn't right away. But he's been on a heater right now. It's 11 or 12 games now, point streak. So Dylan's my guy. He's always been my guy. And he's fun at the All-Star competition to watch because I always like him watching in the speed race.
Yeah.
Still got some wheels, man.
For sure. That's why he's bumped back up to the leading scorer of the Red Wings because of how much points he's put up lately. So forgive me, Larkin, for thinking DeBrincat was still ahead of you. So there you go. Just a quick question before we end here off the rush, and this just be a one-word answer or one sentence. Devin, when do you think Marco Kasper is coming up to the Red Wings? He is really doing well in Grand Rapids right now.
Also on a heater.
Yes,
he is. After the trade deadline, maybe they move somebody out or there's an injury or something and they give him a look.
Evan, what do you think?
I think he gets a look for the end of the season, but it again depends where we are in the standings. There's so many factors on that, but I could see him getting 5 games at the end, 3-4 games at the end. He still won't. He only played 1 game last year, so he'd still be eligible to go down to the AHL. So
yeah.
We got to see where we're at. We can't tell. It's just week to week with this team. It's good week, bad week. So
yeah,
hopefully they're hanging in there at the end, and they can afford to give him a couple games to get his feet a little more wet.
Yeah. long as that one game, and he played really well in that game too.
And then he got hurt.
Yeah. He was
He got hurt.
playing with that injury, which was just insane to me. But there you go. All right. Well, that's another episode of The Grind Line. Thanks, Devin and Evan, for joining the show again. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We've got some great stuff still coming up. Lots of, trade deadline talk. We're going to be talking trade deadline as it gets closer. And then, of course, the draft and all that fun stuff. And hopefully the playoffs. We're previewing the playoffs for the Red Wings this season as well. All right. Well, make sure you're checking out everything at thehockeyriders.com, our Substack, lots of fun stuff again coming up to the trade deadline, and just hopefully again playoffs.
If the Lions win, can we do a Super Bowl show next week? Next when we record? Oh,
Might have to.
Lions
Might have to, yeah.
show. Wouldn't that be great? Because the next time we talk, we're gonna know if the Lions are in the Super Bowl.
That's right.
People's heads might start falling off in Michigan.
We'll see what happens. All right, but until next time, we'll see you on another episode of The Grind Line.